So this session is going to be a combination of two mini sessions. Each one of them is approximately around 15 minutes. And after that, we wanted to have a discussion question, a short one, just to see what you think about how this topic of presentation is relevant to your specific sector, or any additional thoughts and input you might have on this, and of course any questions. And like Paul said, it's going to be recorded. Oh, too late, but feel free to turn off your cameras just for privacy reasons. Paul, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Marjan. I really appreciate that. I'm going to share my screen now, everyone. Where did it go? Screen. And oops. Oh, I clicked on 6 things.
Paul, I don't think you pressed record either.
I didn't?
Yeah, no, recording is on.
Recording's on? No.
Recording is happening. You see that on the top of the screen.
Do others see that as well, just to be sure?
Yeah, you're okay.
Looking good? All right, Thanks everyone. Can you see that?
I guess
okay?
I just wanted to be like the cat. I just wanted to throw you off. Sorry, Paul.
It's all good. No problem at all. I'm really
Don't
happy.
get me back.
I'm really happy to be talking to everyone today about this topic, AMSAA and Avenue. AMSAA has been incredible for us for getting on half a decade, almost a decade now. And so I'm going to talk a little bit today about all the different things that we've done through them and with them. Just quickly, New Language Solutions is based in Ottawa, Ontario, and we acknowledge that our head office is on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. Beyond Ottawa, we have staff working in locations across Canada. New Language Solutions is grateful to have the opportunity to work as a guest in communities and territories across the country, and we honor the stewardship of the many Indigenous peoples who have resided on these lands since time immemorial. I think it's really important that we add that to everything that we do and acknowledge the land that we're working and living on. So thank you for that. Outline, this was sent out to you, so I won't read the whole thing, but I do want to start with the beginning. AMSAA, the Affiliation of Multicultural Societies and Service Agencies of BC, is a unique province-wide association that strengthens over 80 member agencies, as well as hundreds of community stakeholder agencies who serve immigrants and newcomers and build culturally inclusive communities with the knowledge, resources, and support they need to fill their mandates. It's so important to read that out. This is a really unique organization in that they can collaborate where SPOs who are working in a competitive funding environment often can't collaborate. So they serve a really unique purpose here in the province of BC and across Canada. And I hope that one day we can see more organizations like these across the country. A little bit about AMSAA. Their mission statement is that they facilitate collaborative leadership, knowledge exchange, and stakeholder engagement to support agencies that serve immigrants and build culturally inclusive communities. And again, we're seeing these words, collaborative, knowledge exchange, something that rarely happens between SPOs when they're competing for the different contracts that they want to teach the LINK program. So AMSAA really comes in handy. It's like Tutela. Tutela is a place where SPOs across the country can share things together. And AMSAA is very much like that, except even more in person with different summits, conferences, and presentations and e-learning resources that they provide to all the SPOs out here and across Canada. A little bit of history about them. They started in 1977 as a network for multicultural organizations. And then in 1983, they grew to include the newcomer serving organizations, LINK and other programs like that. They did earn a great reputation for collaboration and participating on a provincial and a national level. AMSAA has also had an important role in addressing emerging issues and impacting policy in terms of language learning in this province, and they excel in building partnerships and networks. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is exactly how that happened for Learn IT to Teach, and in those days EduLink, and now Avenue. So to get started, Avenue and AMSAA, this is a fun screenshot that I took from my Twitter page back in 2018. I was at a BC Teal conference. I did a couple of sessions, presentations at that conference. We also had our table, as you can see, set up there with the different tables that they have at the conferences. And on the very last day of that conference, we had something called an EdTech Jam. And in the EdTech Jam, the big hype at the time was the new responsive design on EduLink. And by that, I mean the site was able to resize according to the size of your screen for the first time. And so on my table, I had a laptop and an iPad and a phone, and I was showing people how the different activities would resize and reformat to be accessible on each one of the different devices. This was revolutionary at the time, and it was a great session at the EdTech Jam. But just by chance, Julie Shipp, who at the time was the director for AMSAA, happened to stop by my table. She was both wowed by what we were able to do with EduLink in those days and Avenue today, but more than that, she was floored that she hadn't heard of us before. Being in her position at AMSAA, collaborating with all the SPOs, digital learning, online learning was sort of just getting its wheels going. The snowball was starting to build as it rolled down the hill. I'm not sure the idiom I want here, but things were just getting going. And she thought this is something that everybody needs to know about and got really excited. And in collaboration with myself and Rob, she put together the 2018 info sheet that they released out to all the SPOs in British Columbia. This was followed up with an update in 2019, and they're going to update that again. What you can see in the chart there is in 2018, that was the number of teachers in the regions that were trained by Learn IT to Teach. And I can tell you since then, every number on that chart has gone up. Metro Vancouver is probably more like 85 to 90% now. Fraser Valley is easily 50 to 60%. Vancouver Island has more than doubled, if not tripled in size. The interior as well, the north, not as much, but still, as a result of these info sheets being released, we saw a huge increase in registration from the different service providers who hadn't heard of us before or just hadn't taken the time to look into what we were all about. So I'm going to jump to another tab now and show you that info sheet. As you can see, it was from 2018 and updated in 2019. This was sent out to all the SPOs in British Columbia. The first page is an introduction to what online or blended learning or hybrid learning is. There were some definitions that have since been changed with all the different hybrid models coming out now. But the second page was entirely devoted to Learn IT to Teach, and in those days, EduLink. This was incredible. This was Julie's own initiative. She wanted to do this and to share it with the teachers. And as you go down, you can see the different stages in training. There's that graph there. There were links to all of our websites, the portal and the training site back in those days. And information was provided for the teachers, which really increased our registration. This info sheet was followed up in 2021 in response to the pandemic. AMSAA released another one, Blended Synchronous Program Delivery. There was a little bit of liaison with us on the information for this one, and it was meant to help teachers with the onset of the pandemic. And just to note here, it also included a link which takes you back to the original info sheet, which highlighted Learn IT to Teach and EduLink and today Avenue. So really going above and beyond in terms of trying to support us and trying to get the word out there, because she felt that, and it's true, this ready-made resource that teachers could use, an LMS, hit the ground running right out of the box, and teachers were struggling with Google Classroom, emailing, and all these different things. And it was just a great solution that she wanted to send out and share with everyone. So those were the info sheets, and that was really a game changer, the increase in registration. And then the pandemic came along, and AMSAA decided to respond to that by putting out some e-learning modules. In 2021, they released the first e-learning module that had relevance to us, which was called Onboarding Link Learners Remotely. There were references to Avenue and Learn IT to Teach in this e-learning module, but by and large, it was just meant to help teachers with the pandemic, going to online processes, whatever system they were using, to be able to, as you can see in the screenshot there, access how to navigate the virtual classroom, boundaries, assessments online, different things like this, to support teachers. And this was free to access for anyone who wanted to in the province of BC that was aware of it. And a lot of teachers did take this e-learning module to help them get running during the pandemic. A few months later, that was in April, in December of 2021, this was my baby. This was huge. Again, Julie came to me and she asked if I would be able to do something to support teachers with PBLA and artifact collection online. What I did was I interviewed 12 different SPOs here in the province of BC, talking to them about the different solutions they were using. 9 of the 12 were Avenue users already, and 2 of the other 3 ended up being Avenue users as a result of the interviews. So again, increasing our registration, bringing more SPOs under the umbrella with Avenue and Learn IT to Teach was fantastic. Out of the interviews, I gathered information from the teachers about their experience with the pandemic, stress levels, the need for content, the type of training that they had and would like to have. And then as you can see there in chapter 7 and 8, that's where it kind of turned into a big commercial for Avenue. And it was all about the Avenue tools for language companion, artifact collection, and solutions for remote delivery that were above and beyond anyone else's tools that they had available in the province. So the final chapter 8 was Avenue Resources, which was just a whole series of links taking teachers to places that they could get information about the training and how to implement it with their SPO. So a huge e-learning module for us, again, bringing more and more SPOs on board and getting the word out there about what was possible with Avenue at the time in 2021. In 2021, we also turned that e-learning module, the set of interviews that I did. I kind of chose the best 3. One was with Sian Tudela, who is a teacher in the LINK program, Vesna, who's an administrator at VCC. Hello, Vesna. And Ming Ji, who is the assistant director at AMSAA. I had interviewed all 3 of them as part of the e-learning module process. And then I turned those interviews into these 3 podcasts that we released in 2021 for teachers to hear what's going on and to learn about the e-learning module and be able to access it. So that was really exciting. After that, in 2022, AMSAA released another e-learning module. This one was called Tech Takeaways for Staying the Course. I took this one. It was excellent. As you can see there, the presentations were by Svetlana, Michelle, and Callisto. Svetlana is a stage 4 grad of Avenue Learn IT to Teach, and Michelle is currently being assessed by me for her stage 4, and Callisto is in stage 3. So these are 3 people who are huge influences in the province, connected to huge service provider organizations, and they put together this e-learning module. Svetlana's in particular was all about Avenue and how to use it to be able to keep teaching during the pandemic and everything that was going on. After that e-learning module in 2022, a couple people in the room. I'm not sure if Marike is here. I didn't see in the participants, but I know Matthias is. This is the IRCC BC Yukon Summits that AMSAA puts on once a year. They happen to do the one in February 22 and the next in December 22. So in February, we had a presentation from Marike and Matthias about building partnerships with TBLV. Huge, great reception in the province. I think they've got a lot of registration for that program, and it's actually in use. Volunteers are actually applying the skills with their students as we speak today. So hats off to both Marike and Matthias for that presentation at the Yukon Summit. And then following that in November, it was November 30th, so just around December, Maureen and Vesna, hello, Maureen and Vesna, and myself put on a presentation called Transitioning from Emergency Remote Teaching to Blended Teaching. It was an online session, and it was an interview where I interviewed Maureen and Vesna about PBLA, about Avenue, about support for teachers, student response to online learning, teacher response, challenges and benefits. It was a great session. And before the session, we actually did a dress rehearsal, which was a fantastic kind of run through where we spoke a lot longer, as you may remember, Maureen and Vesna, than we did at the summit. But I've taken those recordings from our dress rehearsal, and just this past weekend, I've sent it to Rob for his first listen. New podcasts, another 3 podcasts. So Maureen and Vesna, you can look forward to an email from me sometime this week when I hear back from Rob. But we've got part 1, part 2, and part 3 of transitioning from emergency remote teaching to blended teaching, ready to go up on the site for Podomatic and the Learn IT to Teach podcasts. So this is really exciting too. Again, we're just reaching out and we're connecting more and more people. I'd like to mention too, Marike and Matthias will know this, but I don't know if everyone else does. These IRCC summits that AMSAA puts on, I've never in my life felt more supported as part of a presentation. I believe we had 4 meetings in advance to prepare us and to be aware of what we wanted to do, the tech issues and things like that. And then they take your presentation from you and they translate the whole thing into French. It was incredible. And then during the session, they have live translators who are actually translating what we're saying as we were saying it. So this is a really amazing summit, fully bilingual, both online and in person. And as you can see there, they took our entire presentation and translated the whole thing for us. So this is really amazing. Just as a kind of a side note, just to show you just the lengths that AMSAA goes to support the organizations that they're trying to connect with each other and to support the SPOs in their mission to help newcomers, especially with language learning. So a really, really amazing organization. I feel very lucky to have been a part of them. I actually worked for them for a short time when I was developing the e-learning module. And their website is fantastic. If you go to their website, you can find all kinds of information about them, the membership, the different organizations that are a part of it. They have all the programs there. The resources is when we get to Learn IT to Teach. If you go down through Ukraine, Afghan, and COVID, you'll find the summits where you can find information about the 2 presentations I mentioned. The info sheets are there as well that I showed you. And if you click on language resources, you'll find lots of things referring to Learn IT to Teach and Avenue. In the same way, on the online learning tab, the e-learning will take you to those different e-learning modules that I had mentioned. And settlement.net is a great page here. This is a weekly email that they send out with information to support different settlement service providers. I've subscribed to this and it's fantastic. I find it very, very useful. So I'm going to share these links with you in the chat if anyone's interested in taking a look at those. I'll do that in just a moment. You can see there, those are the links that I just mentioned, including the strategic plan that they have for 2020 to 2025 and a full list of all the member organizations. So I'm just going to open the chat and I'll paste that in there. If anyone's interested in following up on those links after the session, please feel free to do so. Now it's time for discussion. And as it says, questions are guaranteed, but answers aren't. So I'll do my best. If anyone would like to contact me, the information is there. And just to show you, because I made it, this nice thank you screen. Okay, so I'll go back there.
Paul, and I think Bob has a good comment in the chat box if you take a look.
Okay, in the chat. Seems like there will be more resources to be added to Avenue Leadership course. Ah, yes, that would be a great addition, actually. I'll send that idea along to Rob. Thank you for that. That's a great idea. Excellent.
And I was wondering if you share the handout also with us. I mean, if you send it to me, I can share it with others just for the links.
Yeah,
in case
definitely.
People...
No problem at all. I've got a PDF and I'll send that along to you right after the session. Thank you, Marjan.
Awesome. Thank you. If you guys don't have any specific questions for Paul, I just wanted to ask your opinion on this topic. Let me just
I do see Bob's hand up. Are you wanting to ask a question, Bob?
Yeah, I do have a questions about the resources. So are the resources open source? Like, we're free to use it?
Yes, you are. You do have to register to access the e-learning modules, but as long as you're working in the link industry across Canada, you're welcome to do that. So it was really interesting, the e-learning module that I created and put up. I think it was within the first month, they had 135 participants and only about half of them were from British Columbia. So people from all across Canada were taking a look at that e-learning module, which was really exciting to know because, of course, Avenue is coast to coast to coast. So it's not only applicable to British Columbia. And AMSAA does recognize that in a lot of their work. Most of their workshops and e-learning modules are available to anyone across Canada.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So just wanted to ask you a quick... I think we kind of touched based on it. I mean, the conversation was going that way anyway. And I think Paul and Rob already anticipated this. So based on this presentation, some of you may have been familiar with AMSAA. I wasn't, but what of the activities and resources that you saw do you think are relevant and applicable to your specific organization or sector? Do you have any thoughts or recommendations for any other resources to be developed by in this area or by this organization or similar to that? And the other question is that, do you think that your region or province would benefit from an agency like AMSAA?
Or do any agencies like that exist in your provinces that we're not aware of?
Yeah.
I think Ariza is what would be kind of similar.
What is that?
I'm going to put that in. Bob, can you put that in the chat? Ariza. So they deal with the Maritime specifically. So the Maritime provinces, and it sort of sounds similar, but maybe not quite as in depth as what British Columbia has. I mean, we do go to British Columbia a lot. You are a leader. We've been doing this a long time. We AMSA definitely, but yeah, Ariza. Were you able to put that in the chat? Kate is saying, yeah. I think that's our closest thing to the East Coast. Thank you, Araisa, but they pronounce it Ariza. And they did the same thing. Bob and I were lucky to be able to present at their May summit, and they translated everything into
really?
French.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because New Brunswick's official, like 2 languages, right? So we also had like live presentation being translated at the same time as well online. So, but I think that would be the closest thing to your organization.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, it to me it sounds like that they kind of market all these tools that are available. They go out of their way to translate it, to spread the word and make it known to anybody who can benefit from it. And
Avenue was definitely talked about, and it became a huge thing. Like Canada School, a team had made in Moncton called it Canada School specifically, and made it a number of Avenue modules that students had to complete, and they couldn't move on until they completed a specific module to learn about Canada. Yeah. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, I think a lot of SPOs end up in these sort of funding silos where they can't see what other people are doing because they don't want to share. And this organization kind of comes in and acts as a liaison between them all and a sort of conduit where you can, like I spoke to these 12 SPOs for that e-learning module. And as I said, 3 of them weren't on Avenue and they just weren't aware of Avenue. So in interviewing them, they became aware of it. And the only one who didn't get on board was a tiny, tiny organization, which had really limited resources. And it was understandable in their situation that they just didn't have the time or the inclination, but they may come around yet. Yeah. Was there another question, Bob?
Yeah, I think Matthias and also Bob.
Sorry, Matthias. Yeah.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering. I mean, the summit was funded by IRCC, right, Paul?
Yep.
That's why it was bilingual, not necessarily, I guess, because of the real bilingual needs in BC and the Yukon.
Yeah, there were a few chuckles about that, actually.
No, but it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I think my question, that was just a side comment. I'm sorry. My question was really, do you know how come I haven't heard of a summit like that in other provinces at all? How do you happen to know? Is that the only one, or how come IRCC does invest in something like that, in the Yukon and BC, but not across the country? It's obviously available across the country. Could be just extended across the country, and AMSAA could lead that, or other organizations like Ariza could do it in the Maritimes with IRCC funding.
I haven't heard of any other similar summits. I know what you mean about that, and I believe the initiative was driven by AMSAA themselves. So it was sort of their idea, and they applied for the funding for it and were successful. And I believe it's been going on for 4 years now. So it's definitely something that other provinces should be looking into, because it's a really unique gathering of SPOs. It's more than just language learning. It's also the employment area, the settlement, the first arrival, all the different people that are involved in the process for our students. Really, really interesting. And some of the presentations are things you wouldn't expect to see at a normal sort of ESL or Link conference. And so different bridges are being able to be built. It was really fascinating. Yeah.
Right. And also I'm sure the Francophone programs, the few that are actually in BC, could benefit from being connected to the, let's say, the ones in Manitoba or in New Brunswick.
Oh, so true. It's so true. That's something I can forward along. I'll pass that idea along to AMSAA and see what they can say or see what they can do. Yeah.
Yes, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. I think also Bob has a comment.
Yeah, it's just that I found the info sheet that Bob presented was really eye-catching to me, because I think in the info sheet it defines some of terminologies we have been using, but in the past years when we're communicating with other sister organizations, for example, for hybrid learning, distant learning, blended learning, like different modules of either asynchronous or synchronous learning, we were sometimes confused by all the terminology. So I think the info sheet gives us a very good example of what the definition of these terms are. It will ease, also like saving our time, like, to communicate with other sister organizations, because we exactly know what programs that we are able to copy possibly or learn from. So I found those info sheet will be super useful in the future.
Well, that's great feedback. Thank you for that. Yeah, I love them. They're so short and sweet. They send those out to the SPOs, and it doesn't take much to read through it, and yet they're jam-packed with information. So as you say, it's a great way to build consensus and to have ideas sort of concretized. Not sure if that's a word, but made more concrete. Made more concrete. There we go. Thank you, Bob.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with Bob that sometimes we forget that the like abbreviations, let's say, they are not familiar to everyone, and we just go with it. So that would be perfect to have some sort of, like Paul said, concrete, but at the same time, like Bob said, clear to everyone. All righty. Well, thank you so much. That was excellent. Thank you very much. So I think so now, sorry, Vesna, did you also have a comment?
Just I wanted to say a few things that I was under the impression that such organizations like AMSAA is for us in BC, so I'm in BC, that exist in other provinces, but maybe their scope is a little bit different. So I think it's great that we are gathering here and there are people from across Canada, and maybe there could be some initiatives or some discussions that can be started based on what we hear and the experiences we are sharing. So that's one. It's exciting, and I thought that maybe an idea for another module is gathering all the resources that there are there to help with troubleshooting with students. We know a lot has been done, and Bob's the videos that we will hear about next, and also orientation to Avenue, and Matthias, you worked on I think e-skills, so quite a lot has been done, but maybe again like a sheet with all that information that is like what is available, what is out there to help teachers, because that eats a lot of time, just helping students, and how different organizations deal with that, like what systems they have in place. So it would be interesting to know that. Yeah, so that's a suggestion, but thank you, Paul.
No, thank you, Vesna, and thank you for all your help. Your name came up a few times in that. I know you've been a part of this all the way along, so thank you.
All righty, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And now, Serena and Bob, the floor is yours for the rest of it.
Okay, you sure you're all done chatting now? Okay, I don't mind. Just a quick question though. Paul, are you in Vancouver now?
Actually, I'm on Salt Spring Island, so I'm a ferry away from
So
Vancouver.
lucky.
I am. I know. I know.
I
It's
used to
crazy.
live in Victoria, so I
Oh.
know Paul is enjoying like spring-like weather.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. +10 today. No complaints. Yeah. We go dancing in Victoria, so we know the city well. But yeah, I feel
Okay,
so lucky. So
sorry
thank you.
guys. I know the rest of us are suffering through freezing rain and snowstorms, and yeah, it's not so pleasant. I don't know why I came back, but my Maritimes is in my blood. I can't help it. So without further ado, I am going to share screen, and Bob is here. He's going to be monitoring, but and also answering questions. But yeah, you're going to have to deal with my face for the next little bit. So, but you will get to see Bob, because he is one of the main actors in the videos. So actually, just going to go stop sharing. Minute there. We've been using Teams for a while. So I've just popped onto Zoom before this started to make sure I knew what I was doing.
It's working. It's working.
Yeah,
Perfect.
you're seeing Avenue and Help Law?
Yes, yes.
No. Okay, great. Great. So thank you, Marjan, and Rob, who's not here, for making this day possible. Thank you, Paul, for sharing AMSAA's experience with us. I'm so excited, and I was playing on there already, but I will go back to that. I look at ISS of BC a lot for modules as well, for training. I am a digital navigator for ISANS, so the International, Immigrant Services Settle. I'm so nervous. I've messed that up. Sean, Bob, could you say what ISAN stands for?
Immigrant Services Association of Nova Scotia.
Thank you. They've changed their names a couple of times. Thank you very much, Paul. Sean. Additionally, I want to give thanks to New Language Solutions and our project manager, Jim Edgar, and our literacy guide and developer, Catherine Porter, both whom were also not here today. Without them, the videos would not exist. So we are very grateful to be given this valuable time to share the project. And we hope that it will help you and your clients learn to navigate Avenue.ca. So just a little bit of introduction. First, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the unceded traditional Mi'kmaq territory, and we are grateful for the peace and friendship treaties at ISANS as we work to settle newcomers to Nova Scotia. We honor and respect the Indigenous people of this land. Now with today's agenda. So I did give you a bit of a background when I was thanking you, but it all did begin with Jim Edgar and I think Catherine Porter having a discussion about how to get literacy or lower level students onto Avenue and using it and sort of easing the frustration, but also thinking about a slow way to get them there, and do it in a way that would be consistent with how they're already learning a language. So that's pretty much the background. Luckily, one of our team leads was speaking with Jim Edgar, I think, at BC Teal conference, and mentioned Bob and I were making great materials on Avenue.ca with literacy learners in mind. So that's how Bob and I got introduced to Jim and thus everyone here. And it has been a wonderful experience since. Jim was the project manager. Catherine is the one who had created all the materials for literacy that is now available, the modules on Avenue. And what she basically did was provide us with scripts and, said, go with it. It's probably going to take you a few takes. We'd like to have it within, the view of the student. So keeping it, what is the student seeing and how do we teach students and that sort of thing. And with my background with teaching literacy clients as well, Bob has that background. We were able to hone in on that and really, I hope in the end, give a video perspective of what it would be like for the learner trying to do it. Of course, I think the videos are designed to be introduced by the instructor or the facilitator in the classroom at first, but then could be thus used as reminders or something as homework for the client to use to get used to the steps. So without further ado, we'll get into that. So again, scaffolding it, keeping it slow, and just making sure that it doesn't overwhelm the client, because if you overwhelm them, then the learning shuts down and they have nowhere to go from there. And so what we were able to accomplish. So there's a lovely shot of Bob. And this was a common action. This was something that they would be familiar with after maybe the first or second video. This means, I don't know, what should I choose? What answer? So we made sure actions were the same, and my voice was the voiceover was very simple. Click, drag, scroll up, scroll down. We didn't add any extras. We really took everything out, so that it was very simple imperatives. And again, doing the same action over and over again, so that the language is recycled and the action is recycled within the activity, even though the activity is a different sort of activity. Some of the activities that you will find, there are 15, is the simple one, log in, how to log in. These were all, again, too, I must add, made with the view of a student going into a computer lab or having a laptop. So they weren't made for a student using a smartphone or a tablet. We have, and so the final, I tend to talk a little fast, but I think actually we're doing really good with timing. Where can you find this? So it is found in the course block on the Avenue page. And if you do not have it's found in the help block on your Avenue page, which is on the right side of your Avenue. If you do not have the help course block, if it was deleted or maybe you just never had it, you can, of course, add that yourself in the navigation drawer, add a block, and then you can choose help block, and that this is what you will see on your course page. Simply click on that, and Jim Edgar has made it easy, I think, with the big arrow here, but go to beginner how-to videos. So you click on that, and you will see 15 videos. And the titles of those videos. So it makes it a little bit easier. You don't waste your time. You can say, okay, what am I going to practice today with my clients? Okay, we're going to start with the simple task of logging in. But there's also things of how to start Big Blue Button. I think with Big Blue Button, we even showed, because the very first time a client uses Big Blue Button, it's going to ask their device to allow camera or to allow microphone. We showed those steps with basic, easy language. With type in a SCORM, I never thought, how are we going to get that perspective? Really neat. I am going to show that video, if that's okay. And then we can go on to the question. Just to give you an idea of some of the things we were able to do to put it in the view of the student. So I'm just going to stop sharing and make sure I get that video up for us. So I'll just do it with you. So you can see here I'm on the help block, and I click go to beginner how-to videos. I'm did not share sound. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. So I can add sound. Again, sorry, my apologies. I'm so used to using another system now. I'm a digital navigator trying to navigate Zoom, which is something I used for months. But I'm using Microsoft Teams. Okay, can you see? I'm going to go down to type in a score. I don't want to blow your ears out.
Click on the yellow box. 1. Scroll down. What do we do? Look and match. Click. Type.
That was another one. Good job. Consistently. And Bob will live forever on. And I love this zoom into the
Need help? Click hint. Click OK. Click. Need help? Click hint.
So again, that standard
Click
need help.
OK.
Hopefully the client sees that through a couple of videos and knows to click hint.
Look
I won't
and match.
That is it for that part. Now I do have the discussion question, Marjan, that I put it in my PowerPoint if you want, or if you have another one you'd like to share, that's fine.
Sure. Before we move there, I just wanted to say personally, I think it's fantastic because and I mean, like the consistency that you've used, maybe it doesn't occur to us that how important it is, but for this really lower level learners, like using the same body language over and over and even not changing the voice because they are after maybe a couple of videos, eventually they got used to your voice. So maybe changing that would throw them off, but you didn't do that. I think that will be very, very welcomed by a lot of students and teachers. So
There were
thank you.
even videos without any voice at all.
Yeah.
So again, just trying to get them to focus on what's being done because both could be very distracting.
Yeah, I really like that it's pretty much on the help block homepage.
It is. That's exactly.
When you go there, it's like, boom, it's there.
It says go to beginner how-to videos.
Yeah,
So yeah,
you
you
don't
can't
need to
miss
look
it.
for it.
No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, fantastic. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead. Otherwise, I have. All right, I think my question is that, or just it's not a question, it's just a conversation topic. Like, because we've all been dealing with the literacy learners, lower level learners, and the huge challenges we've had during the pandemic, teaching them the online platform. So what challenges do you see with the use of how-to videos in your specific sectors, whatever that would be? And if there are, what solutions or alternatives do you suggest? And what other help and support resources do you think our lower level learners and the instructors can benefit from? And I see Vesna has already her hands up. Maybe it's a question or a comment about this thing.
Hey, it's more some comments. I love the videos. I love the work you did. I especially like that there aren't a lot of words, and how big the screen is. Like you're showing a screen that the students can see in the computer lab. I just wish there were you had more time and more resources to create more videos about more topics as well. I wonder if this, it's just like, I love it. It met a huge need. And I'm not sure like how many, it doesn't hurt to repeat this information again and again, because in front of different audiences, because I'm still not sure how many teachers across Canada are aware that these videos exist. And I also wonder whether in Catherine's course that she created for literacy students, because there is a help blog there as well, whether there are only those videos and nothing else, because literacy students don't need to see all these other videos as well. They just need these 15 and whatever their teachers come up with. And I don't know, like I tried, but I couldn't find the literacy course right away.
No, I totally agree with you. And that was one of the things Bob and I had discussed as well, is what to put on. And we sort of had our own mock-up literacy course for ourselves, and no blocks, really. A time maybe block.
Right.
And just simple time in Comic Sans, large font. What was the other block? We had a time block, a weather block, because that's something every day in daily routine. But again, it was just simple images of the weather, but no help block. Absolutely. I don't think so. In this case, these videos were YouTube. You could, if you were using WhatsApp, or your client is using WhatsApp for business, for example, that's how I use WhatsApp for business. So I use my business number. It's not my personal phone. I could send this video that way. I find a lot of our clients, if we start with what device they're using, we'll have the most success. And for us in our demographic, mostly the clients that I was encountering were using smart devices like phones. They did not have laptops, nor did they have the digital skills to use the laptop.
No, thank you. I just thought that when a teacher gets a literacy course, it would be nice, like there is probably a help block, and it would be nice that there are only these videos.
I think that's an awesome idea. And also,
I don't know, maybe it's
making more videos, you let them know. Bob and I would be glad to do that.
We did, like we are doing that. So it would be wonderful to have. And I think that the challenge with these students, like it really helps if they are in person, and helping them in person still is the best way to deal, and asking them to bring their own device. And Maureen can say, like our link 1-2 teachers was just telling Maureen and me that they started got students on Avenue, even though they're face to face.
Have they looked at the wonderful learning English through technology materials that Marika, I believe, has a lot to do with that?
Yeah, Marika and Matthias. We mentioned it to them. So
that stuff is great. I'm using that as well to inform my practice now. We are slowly at iSans now moving towards getting our CLB 2 and 1s using Avenue, not 100%, but in the classroom at least, because once they get to CLB 3, they can be in a fully online class with using Avenue. So I feel the pain your other instructors are feeling. We're working through that now at iSans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Matthias has a comment.
Yes, I was. Thank you, Serena and Bo. That's great. I'm wondering if you had thought about maybe making those available as a video podcast, so that students could download them and play them offline on their phone, and play them again and again, and that kind of thing, and not use up bandwidth at the same time as they're on Avenue or that kind of thing. I think it might go a long way to address digital equity issues and access issues.
Two of my favorite topics.
Yeah, no, I'm interested in the digital navigators. I've heard lots about them, so that's definitely also I think something to pursue, maybe to for
It's
other
changing and growing all the
organizations,
time. Yes,
other
absolutely.
organizations to adopt that model, and it's so yeah, fantastic.
And it's
Thank you.
Matthias, right? Thank you.
Matthias,
Thank
yes.
you.
Yeah.
Matthias.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
thank you,
No
Matthias.
problem. No problem.
I think Paul has his hand up.
I do, if that's okay. Sorry, I just wanted to jump in and say that I'm not sure if you didn't know, but Link 2, Link 1, and Literacy, any new courses that are created for teachers have a help block that is just the beginner's help block. So I think Vesna was asking about that, and if you want to get in touch
I
with me,
didn't know
Vesna,
that. That's
I can
great.
help you to get the code for that. It's just a little embed code, and it takes you to the page that Bob shared in the chat there. So that does exist.
Oh, okay. So it's already there.
Yeah, so it's for new courses though. So again, it's a case of if you have an older course, you need to update it. I believe there was a forum post about that was sent out with the new beginner help block. So I think the instructions for that are in there, but it's a great resource. I just love it, that keyboard. I had one quick question. Is there any way to do something for phone users, or was it just the challenges were too insurmountable?
I would love to do it, and I think, you know, if Bob and I had the time or something like that, even if we're not in the same province, we could do something. We've already created some resources for smartphones. But yeah, I think it's because Avenue put a hold on getting the app for the phone. So yeah, I'm not sure I can answer that question.
Can I jump in here? So just
Please.
when we were creating the videos, we had some technical challenges using SCORM packages on a cell phone. So we have been thinking about using different interfaces to deliver the presentation, the video, but just that we still right now haven't figured out a way to use more user-friendly interface for our literacy clients. But 100% like the other interfaces, 100% is in the bucket.
Thank you.
I love the LET materials and I'm exploring them. And so what we've started just to give you, and I'm also using ISS of BC. I'm not sure if anyone, I would assume you're familiar with that. They've got great resources, literacy to module literacy to CLB1. They've got a whole module on smart devices, on smartphones, Android and iPhone, and just all the little bits. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And then, of course, if you're in person and you can actually have them practice on their phone, it's so much fun. And when you see how empowered they feel. So yeah, I just did a simple class with them the other day on how to use your smartphone 101, swipe up, swipe down, the fact that they could learn that language, tap, they loved it. And that will, of course, carry on to Avenue when they do drag and drop or any of those things. So it all sort of comes together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. But we were planning to keep it very short, but actually I think the discussions were just so interesting when we were all so into it that it carried it over. I think just Sean wanted to add something.
I just wanted to chime in regarding the digital navigators. Kate and I both work at ISANS and we are mentors within our region. But Serena and formerly Bob also were at ISANS in different roles as digital navigators, and they've been immensely helpful. There have been a few occasions when there's been confusion as to whose responsibility is this or that when it comes to training and instructor roles and things like that. But they've taken so much on and developed so much content, guided our learners and instructors in so many ways. If other organizations can follow suit and have the opportunity to employ people in those roles, I couldn't say enough about what they've been able to do with us. And Serena, I'm not just trying to, provide lip service here to you and Bob, but really it's made a huge difference in functionality and how people are able to adapt, how we got through COVID, and it's continued really positively. So that's all. I just wanted to chime in and mention that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I I totally agree. I think one of the comments that came up is that how many teachers are aware of these how-to videos. I know that Jim has sent the word out on different platforms, but maybe Paul, maybe we can ask AMSAA to include that in the information sheet, so more instructors would be aware of that and can use it. Thank you all so very much. It was amazing. If you don't have any other pressing questions, I think we will end the session here, and then the video clip and also the recording of the session and also Paul's presentation, I will send it to you guys for you to follow in if you need. Just a very quick, I think everybody just saying have a good day. So I wish you all a great evening, and thank you again. Thank you so very much.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you, Marjan, for convening
See you.
everybody. Thank you.
Everyone,
Thank
so
you, Marjan.
wonderful.
Thank you to everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Feel free to reach out to us in the Maritimes anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Serena. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
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 Good show.
Yes, I think
Okay.
I need to go.
Okay. Bye-bye.